greatest form of control is where you think you're free when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated to. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell and you can see the bars and touch it. The other one is sitting in a prison cell but you can't see the bar, you think you're free. What the human race is suffering from is mass hypnosis. We are being hypnotized by people like this. Newsreaders, politicians, teachers, lecturers. We are in a country and in a world that is being run by unbelievably sick people. The chasm between what we're told is going on and what is really going on is absolutely enormous.
Yes, thank you for tuning in to a very special episode of the Red Pill Hardcore TV show. As always, I'm your host, V. And today, we're all lucky. We're all very, very lucky because not many people have a chance to talk about what we're about to talk about today. Today, we have the opportunity to hear from a Hollywood actress who is whistleblowing about, well, the Monarch programming that's going on. And I want to give a little disclaimer and a little warning right now. TMZ, Hollywood Access, any of you other media use anything from my show, any clips from my show, you'll be sued. I'll take you for everything that you have. So let's get that understood right now. With that said, I have Ashleigh Ann Wood here with us. I believe, Ashleigh, you have been in a lot of major productions like Lost, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You've been in Like Family, and many other productions.
CSI Miami. I've done, a bunch of different stuff.
And so you're on my show today because you are going through the Monarch programming, the Hollywood abuse program. And we need to get that exposed. So I don't even know where to start with this. You can start wherever you like.
Oh my gosh. I don't really know.
Well, when did all this start for you? Because your work is extensive. You've been in pretty much everything. You've been an actress for years, and so
right. Well, I mean, it all started going bad in Los Angeles, like quite a few years ago. And that was just due to just different circumstances and stuff like that. Things were going great. I was doing really well. I had a fiance, I had a home, I had cars, I had another apartment overlooking the Hollywood sign. I had this great, amazing man in my life. I went through a deep, deep depression, and I had such bad anxiety I couldn't leave the house, and I couldn't handle like life anymore. I couldn't even get up for auditions. I would like freak out in bed just being like, oh my gosh, like I have so much anxiety and so much everything. So decided to go back to Toronto with my fiance, and then things just didn't go well either. And then I was in my fiance and I broke up, and I was in Toronto, and I mean, basically how it started was to make it a long story short, a really long story shorter than I one day was at this girl's house. There was girls and there was like three guys, and there was this guy with a triangle around his neck, like with a necklace with a triangle around his neck. And they said, we don't trust her. And they like ran downstairs and they gave this guy I don't know if I should say names. Anyway, they gave this other guy a computer and started talking in chipmunk voices, pretended they had earpieces in their ears. They pretended to go through my emails, all that different stuff. I ended up like passing out. And when I woke up with like scratch marks all down my arms, a needle mark in my arm, bruises on my legs. And that's when they pretended to like go through the emails and like do all this different stuff. And like, I don't know. Anyway, I was like frozen. I couldn't even like do anything. So, anyway, this girl, screams at me and she says, "We've been yelling at you for 24 hours, get out." And I was just like, I was so discombobulated. Like, I mean, at this point, I had no idea what was happening. And so I would like grab my bags. I was like, in flip-flops in the middle of like, it was like September. Anyway, to say something else is, a few nights before that, this girl showed me this video of her walking the streets with like people with signs and like saying things and different stuff. And she said, this happened to me and it went viral. And it only took me till round 2 to say I'm sorry. And I felt so stupid. And so she had made this video like of her walking the streets and shit that went viral. But I just wasn't really like paying attention, like, but it just didn't, like, nothing registered, it was just, I don't know. I guess I should have been like, that went viral. Like, what happened? Like, I just say sorry to, I don't know. Anyway, so she, to go back to the story, she said, "We've been yelling at you for 24 hours, get out." And she had like this megaphone and screamed out to downtown Toronto. We were in like Dundas Square, downtown Toronto. It's like kind of like New York Times Square, but like in Toronto, Dundas Square. And, I know that they had drugged me with something, but I know that a lot of this was real. And some of it was what they had drugged me with. But I can almost, I know my mind well enough to know that that my mind wouldn't have imagined some of the things that I saw. And then some of the things I did see, I know that were more drug related to what they drugged me with. So I saw people on the streets saying things about me, coming at me. I saw this guy walk by me that I knew, and he said something about me. People were just like coming at me, and I just remember being so scared and like just like people saying things about me and like all this kind of stuff, and just trying to get past it and just trying to get like, I must have walked maybe, I don't even know, probably maybe 20 miles, honestly. And I didn't know where I was. And finally, I finally got to this place. I was like shaking. I was freezing cold. I was like sitting on the cement, and this girl came up to me that was this girl that drugged me and assaulted me and did all this stuff to me. I was at her house a few nights before, and I had a conversation with her kind of in secret. And this girl comes up to me and she's like, "Do you need help?" And I was like, "No, I'm not going to trust you. You're at this girl's house that I don't even know what just happened." Like I was so out of it. Anyway, so I got to this, then this guy came up to me with this dog, and he was like, "Do you need help? You seem like you're in serious help, or you need serious help." And so I was like, "Yes, sir, actually I do." And he was like, "Well, you can come to my home." And I was like, "Well, you have like a family there? I don't want to just go to like some random man's house." And he's like, "Yeah, I promise you my family's there, and I'll make sure that you see them before you come in, whatever." So I saw his family, came in. I got a hold of my uncle, who lived in Toronto, in about 20 minutes outside of Toronto. And I don't know why I remembered his number. I have no clue. And anyway, so he came, picked me up. I showered at this guy's house, right? Because he was like, listen, like, you need to take a shower. So I wiped off the scratch marks off my arms and the needle mark. The bruises were still there, but I hadn't comprehended anything that happened. So I was still so confused. So my uncle takes me to his house, and I'm laying in bed, I'm laying in bed, and I see this girl and that guy like up in the window, like shining a light up in their face, you know, and making like clanking noises down in the kitchen, making me think I'm in a psychosis type of thing, which I know that I wasn't. I was completely aware, not aware completely of what was happening, but I was aware that I was not, I was in reality, and I knew that, anyway, you get it, right? Like,
well, it was something ritualistic at this point.
yeah, I believe the girl had DMT, and I'm pretty sure they drugged me with the DMT. But like anyway, so I'm not quite sure. I just know that some of it is real, like the people that I saw, like, and some was more of, I think, with the drugs, but I'm not sure, like, the reality, like when you don't know, like, this reality. And I mean, this story goes so much further. This story like just like gets so much deeper and crazier and more insane than this. But it's just like all these truths that I'm trying to find and realities that I'm trying to find.
Did you end up going to a doctor?
Yeah, so this is what happened is so what they did was they took me to the hospital, and I heard that I had been raped by 9 guys in a park. And then my uncle said my uncle said, you were found at Andrews. And Andrew was this guy I was talking to. No one would know that, right? And I said, I was? And I know, and like I was confused. And he was like, no. Like he was told to say, that, like, and then I was like, at this point, I'm still so confused. I'm so disoriented. The doctor comes in and he says, he looks at my bruises on my legs, and they offer me pain medication because they know I had been, I guess, like, I must have been assaulted in some way. And the doctor takes one look at my the bruises on my legs, and he says, "Oh yeah, those are pressure points." And at the time, I'm like, "What?" And even my uncle didn't even like say what, like that. That's so. I mean, if I were comprehending just like the crazy, like, not coming out of like what I just like came out of, like I would have been like, "What are you talking about, pressure points? Like that doesn't make any sense." Like
the truthers who know about this sort of stuff, and so they would immediately tell you that the pressure points, it's these people that we deal with, these illimitards.
This
is ritualistic. Once again, I'll point out probably throughout your story, this is ritualistic. They believe in their own kind of voodoo, magic, whatever. But it's psychological. Even if they go through rituals anyways to mark their territory, to mark their kill, to sign their kill or their target, whatever.
I heard the girl outside that I heard a bunch of voices down the hall. It sounded like a bunch of like my friends. And I heard the girl that drugged me and assaulted me come up to the door and be like, haha, I like to be the Joker, and then they took her. I heard her say, I can't believe she thinks that I would. And the nurse then looked at me and shut the door. And I never saw her, but they seemed to put her in a room, but there was no interrogation, no nothing, right? And then they also said, remember how I told you she made a tape a few nights before they did this to me about how she walked those streets, there's people with signs, she had to say sorry to everybody, blah, blah, blah. And then at the hospital they said, there was this girl, Rachel, that I knew, and they said, oh, it only took Rachel till round 2 to say she's sorry. So I have no idea what I'm sorry about. Like, I'm like, I'm sorry that I was drugged, assaulted, like all this stuff. And anyway, so they take me into a room, they examine me, they take pictures of, the area, like, of any like rape things that could have happened, whatever. But it's like the girl that was taking the pictures of the camera, like, it's like she didn't even know how to use a camera. Like, it was weird. And also, like, when she, like, I mean, not to be kind of graphic, but when she opened my legs to kind of like take a picture of, like, she like said, oh, no. And like there was like a camera up there, So like, who would be watching something like that? Who has the right to, right? Like, it should only have a woman in there. So it was obviously being recorded. And it seemed like she like literally did not know how to use a camera. I don't really think she took real pictures of the bruises and stuff and of the marks and stuff. At this point, it was so early on in exactly what happened that I didn't start like documenting like or trying to document anything until I started realizing some really cause I was still so like, I have no idea what was going on. And it also seemed like my uncle had like earpieces in his ears, and after I went to that one hospital, they let me go, and then they sent me to another hospital. Like, and why would they do that? And my uncle was like, I was like, why are we going to another hospital? He goes, I don't know. Like, and I'm like, okay. So anyway, I go to another hospital, whatever, and then I end up going back to my own apartment. And when
Well, before you get that far, when you went to the hospital, what happened at the other hospital? Did things seem to normalize, or was it a little bit stranger?
No. When I walked down the hallway to go into a room, one of the nurses behind the desk said, "Did she say any names?" So, and I was, and then I was put in a room where there was like pamphlets of schizophrenia and Alzheimer's and this and that and that and this and that, and had to sit in this room for an hour after they said, I had been assaulted, I had been raped by 9 guys, and they're making me sit in a room with these pamphlets saying, like all these like pamphlets of being like, of all different diagnoses and everything, like this small tiny room.
The picture is being painted for you, I think, because at this point you're being handled. Yes, you were put into a position to where you are to get suggestions. Now, control over someone happens mostly through the power of suggestion. So I'm thinking at this point, they're gonna try to get you to think that, oh, well, maybe this didn't really happen. Maybe I'm just crazy. And they're setting you up on that path. That's why they put you in that room. So, but yeah, go ahead.
Right. So anyway, I just remember going into a room with a woman or whatever, and she just like asked me about like, did it hurt down there, like different stuff like that, and did I want to get tested for like, different things, like why were there no police called? Why was there no investigation? Why was there no written statements? Why was there no anything? Even if, I mean, it's just even like saying, oh, those are pressure points. Like, well, obviously somebody hit me, I guess, on those pressure points. Wouldn't there be an investigation? Like, why would there be cops called, for that? That's an assault. So anyway, even at that hospital too, they gave me computers of different animated things and said, does this make more sense? Does this make more sense? Does this make more sense? Nothing made sense at that point too, you know? So, anyway, this is like just the least of it, because like it just starts getting like insane, you know.
I want to get into the voices and all that stuff. So are we? You ready to
Yes.
go down that
Okay.
whole experience, going down the path of Monarch programming? So you had this experience in Hollywood. Or this was still in Hollywood, correct?
No, this was in Toronto when this happened.
Toronto. Okay. So
Yeah.
as you're in Toronto, I know you've had some experiences with some people that you may not want to talk about, but may have been your handlers. But you've come from the hospital, and then what? I think that you, at this point, are going to have people interjected into your life that don't need to be there. I mean, I guess that you had things stolen from you, maybe money and so forth, because I don't know if you're familiar with Randy Quaid. And
with what?
With Randy Quaid, he's there are several celebrities that came out and said that they were ruined by Hollywood on purpose and so forth.
Right.
Yeah, please continue on the path.
Okay, so basically to get to like the human rights kind of like part of it as well, was I then got to my apartment, and I was tortured in my apartment. The girl that drugged me and assaulted me, and one of the guys that did it as well, I lived with a roommate in a basement apartment in Toronto, and they used the upstairs neighbor's apartment, and I used a nickname just for fun, because like I liked it. It was Aja, and so they were in the vents being like, Ashleigh, Aja, Ashleigh, Aja, can she hear me? Can she hear me? And they were putting the smell of garbage through my windows. They were like, they were screaming at me to go home. You know, I had my tablets. I a few, like, before this all happened, somebody broke into my house and stole all my tablets and my computers and like different stuff. And the cops ended up finding some of it. So they contacted me, and they were like, hey, do you want to come pick up, you know, what we did find of yours? And I was like, yeah, that'd be absolutely fabulous. And so they checked in with me at one point, and they were like, hey, how are you? You doing okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm doing great. I was like, but I really still want to find my other tablets, and I want to find my other stuff, you know? And I was like, and I was also just like, you know, I was like, I hate bad guys, you know? I was like, I hate the evil men in the world. I want to clean up the garbage on the streets, you know? Like, and just, you know, talking to the cop, like, not, you know, just friendly. Like, they were just checking in, because they were checking in to see if they found like any more of my stuff. And anyway, the girl and everybody that drugged me and assaulted me got a hold of my phone, and I think they realized that I was talking to the cops, but not about like anything they were involved in or whatever they did, you know. But it was precisely just to like get my stuff back, you know, that was, you know, broken into and stolen from me. So anyway, they tortured me in my apartment, and they put the smell of garbage to my windows, meaning that they read my text to the cops saying I wanted to clean up the garbage in Toronto. So I like the garbage through the, you know, and I would think a thought, and the smell of garbage would come through, like, and they were in my vents, and they were saying like, you know, my name and stuff like that. And there was at one point, there was like, I mean, I'm talking probably like hundreds of people screaming outside my apartment. They're like, Aja, can we be friends? And then one person goes, Ashleigh Wood, and somebody goes, shush, you know. It was like, and then there was like this like blower, like you know, grass blower that would like made them like back up. It was like this big show that like, I didn't know what was happening. Like, so anyway,
You know what
so
was happening. Well, I gotta interject here too. So again, ritualistic monarch programming. What happened here? And I will also note that for the people watching this, the monarch programming is very identical to that of the targeted individual program. You just have one for celebrities and one for the general population. You were isolated because all your devices were taken. You
all my
had confusion of as to what had happened to you, and
well,
you're being mobbed.
yeah,
You're being mobbed by people who have given you a nickname, which is something the
right.
illumitards will do during a ritual to fracture
Right.
the mind. This is the mind fracturing process to give you a different personality.
They also, like, one night I was laying in bed and they did this triangle around, like, they used this like laser light and did this triangle on my on my door in my room. It was crazy. And then, like I said, there was, like, you know, hundreds of people screaming outside my apartment. There was that foghorn that I could hear, like, that I heard for that whole entire walk. That, like, I mean, I think it must have been like an hour to walk, you know. I mean, I had just been through, you know, this guy was triangle on his neck, being drugged, being assaulted, being, like, messed with so bad psychologically, pretending like an earpiece, like all that kind of stuff. So anyway, but that's not the worst of it. Like, the actual, like, legitimate torture came when I came to the U.S. But that's, like, that'll be kind of explained. Like, I guess, what else can I say? Like, there was at one point I ran to this hospital in Mount Sinai, and they, I said, I have this huge problem and I need help and blah, 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 you know, and I just started, like, spurting things out, and everybody in the hospital just went, oh, like, all at once. Like, it was like this show, and they kept saying Sarah. Okay, now this will make more sense biblically, like, as this goes along too. So anyway, they kept saying Sarah, and I went in and I was like, why am I not being called? And security guard goes, listen, you seem like such a sweet girl. He's like, but, you know, he's like, depending on what you say, you know, like, depends on if you stay here or, like, whatever, you know. But I didn't understand. I was just like, I was so confused with everything. I just needed, like, I just ran wherever, you know. And anyway, so the doctors came out, and the doctors came out, and there was different code words that were used, that my abusers made up and that I would hear. And anyway, the doctors came out and they said that was hard but totally worth it, and clapped hands, and they sent me to this mental institution, and where this girl was at. And I woke up, and she woke up at the exact same time as me, and she goes, oh, you're such a rock star, right? And I'm like, okay. And then there was this guy, and he claims he was from the WWE, and his brother was murdered, I guess, or something. I don't know. And so I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, when I was walking in the streets, I was saying I'm sorry because of that tape that I saw, you know. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't even know what I'm sorry for. I was the victim here of this crazy thing. And anyway, he goes, I'll be Adam, you be Eve. And then he points to the voice, right? And he's like, you know, and anyway, and then he says to the girl that works there at the mental ward, he goes, because they were shooting me up with Ativan and putting me in, like, locked rooms and stuff like that. And he goes, hey, he goes, just play along. He goes, you're giving her something she's allergic to, you know. And he goes, just like Prince. And he goes, Michael Jackson's still alive, you know. And I go, huh? And he goes, oh yeah, my wife, right? And I was like, okay, like, and then this girl said she cut herself, and I was like, you know, don't cut yourself. And then she goes, oh, like, I didn't get it.
So they put you into this hospital, a perfectly normal, sane individual, put into a mental ward.
Yeah, that had just been through the biggest trauma that you could ever imagine.
Where you're
Like,
pumped up with drugs, you're put in with people who are going to fill your head with conspiracies. They're going to show you self-destructive behavior.
Like he's like Sarah is biblical, like for in the thing, and then at the mental ward, the guy from the WWE was like, "I'll be Adam, you be Eve," and then he pointed to, like, you know, the voice Adam, you know, so it could be that, or it could be Adam and Eve. But I wasn't aware at the time. I'm actually a follower of Jesus at this point, and I'm a very faithful person now, and I'm very deep in my faith. But at that point, I'd been Catholic growing up, but I didn't, you know, in Catholicism, you don't read the Bible, you know? So I hadn't really, until I came to Jesus, like, actually read the Bible. So I didn't really know, like, I'll be Adam, you be Eve. Like, it was still all very confusing. And then everywhere I went, people keep saying, don't you feel sorry for her? Don't you feel sorry for her? Don't you feel sorry for her? You know? And this guy, like, you know, anyway, like, points to the little, like, bicycle machine. He goes, you know who makes that? And I go, no. And he goes, you'd be really surprised to know. He goes, maybe one day you'll be one of my sisters or one of my cousins, you know? I'm like, and then he was like, when he left, the guy that was, like, in the room observing, he was like, thanks, boss. And he had this, like, camera around his neck, the guy that was from the WWE. Like, anyway, so all this stuff happened. They could read my mind. I swear to God, they could read my mind. They said, like, when they were up in the vents and doing all that kind of stuff, they said, mommy, daddy, mommy, daddy. And I thought in my head, is this about my dad? Like, or my mom? You know, they go, oh, she thinks it's about her dad, you know? And then they did that. And then, a bunch of other stuff happened. I came
off that. And when you say the voice, I assume you mean sort of like a voice.
the voices of my abusers and voices of people I don't know. Like, there was a ton of voices. Like
you're hearing them like in your head.
No. I was hearing them out loud. Like, they were real.
Out loud.
Like,
so, but coming from certain people, just see where you're coming from.
It seemed like they were, like, upstairs saying, like, reading my mind, like, up in my neighbor's apartment when they were, like, in the vent saying Ashleigh Aja, you know, and then they'd say, like, mommy, daddy, you know, and then I would think, oh, is this about my dad? And they were like, oh, she thinks it's about her dad. Like, they were upstairs, and they had to have been, you know, and I even
well, as for target individuals, you guys can check out Myron May's story. He has his YouTube videos still up, the Florida State shooting, and target individual. So every target individual story talks about hearing people through a wall and then the mind reading. So this is
like, I swear they were up there. I know that they or whatever, but I could swear that if, like, they did an investigation, my next door neighbors would have to say that, yeah, they let them use the apartment. That's how it was real. Like, you know, but I know that the screaming outside of the hundreds of people, I know that was real.
Yes.
You know, people just have to come forward. Absolutely. People just have to come forward, like, you know, and there's other things.
What prompted these people to be mobbing outside of your window? I mean, this is what it was. It was mob. This isn't your usual paparazzi. This is a group of people who had a mission, who had, you know, did you find out someone invite these people to do this, or did you find out any extra information as to what had happened?
Have I gotten an explanation to what's happened?
From anybody? Yes.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Not one. No one will admit. And even the guy that I met this guy, and he said we should write a story together. And then he goes, look at my phone. See the pictures start disappearing, and he goes, they start going black. All his pictures, right? And that's what then happened to my phone. All mine went black. And he said, and then you know, he basically, you know, I was in a cab ride with him, and it was like he had an earpiece in his ear, and he was like, even goes like this, he goes, I can't do that to her, you know, like, so he had an earpiece in his ear. It was like it was all being staged.
Well, yeah, it was all being staged, and I'm gonna also point out what was happening to when the guy showed you his phone, and then these blank pictures would come up, and he said we should write a story. You being an actress, you should know this better than anyone, but there's a thing called a script. And so when you...
Something called the what?
A script. You have a script.
Oh, yeah.
Being an MK Ultra subject or a target individual or a monarch victim, programming victim, something that has to be done is a person has to write their own story. They have to write their own script. So they'll make endless amount of suggestions to you, and they will tell you to write your story. So, for one, these people are very unimaginative, and psychologically, they don't know what fits with who. So they have people write their own scripts, put up their own ideas, their own conspiracy theory. So to further have the victim driven crazy or to be made to look crazy, and it goes down the line. It dominoes.
There was also, you know, people on the streets. There was like a big prayer people, and they stopped just me. And they were like, what's your name? And I was like, Ashleigh. And they're like, can we pray for you, Ashleigh? And I was at St. Michael's Hospital, where I went for my doctors, you know, and it was staged. And then when I met that guy that said the pictures are disappearing and blah, 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 we should write a story. After I met him, he took me to like this like really, really nice restaurant, you know, and he was like, I'm an alcoholic. I was like, oh, don't drink, like whatever. He at one point was like, you know, have you ever heard of an intervention? When we were in the cab, that's when he was like, oh, have you heard of Robin? Like, oh, he was like Robin Williams, you know, and then he was like, had the earpiece in his ear, and he's like, I can't do that to her. He was a really nice gentleman. There was, that's what I wanted to say. Yes, here. Okay. So when we first went to the restaurant, it was Prince Edward restaurant in Toronto, right? And we're outside, and he underlines the word Prince, right? And I go, what? And he goes, I can't say the words. He goes, you know? So I was like, am I a princess? Like, but Prince, like, I mean, anyway, I was like, you know, and then so at one point, like, I was like, when I was at home, I was like, am I a princess? And there was actually a guy and a child outside. I had to ride my bicycle to a payphone because I had lost my phone. I had no communication with anybody. I was going through all this alone. I was freaking out. And there was no joke. I mean, this could be investigated and be proved too. There was a guy and a child, and he goes, we made her feel like she was a princess, right? And then the guy that had the triangle around his neck that night, I saw him pass by me too. Yeah, anyway, so I told my parents, you know, I was like, you know, I need you to come here. And they're like, no, we're going to bring you home, whatever. And so I'm thinking, I went to church one day too. And this is crazy. After it all happened, I know this is out of sequence, you know, like it's very out of sequence, but it's like, it's just like, it's so hard to explain.
It comes back, not necessarily in any order, and that's fine. What
Right.
happened in the church?
So anyway, so I went to church right after this happened. I went on that Sunday, this church across the street, this, I guess a Catholic church or something like that. And I was like, I need to get to church, you know? And I went there, and it was like I was running late for church. Like, I'm talking 10 minutes late, right? I walk out my door, and as soon as I'm walking out my door, the people that start walking up with the cross and everything starting. Like, tell me how I'm 10 minutes late, and it's just all on beat. It was like literally they were waiting for me. They knew I was coming, right? And so I was in the church, and I was like singing whatever, and then like, this is like literally right after all this happened, and I'm like, this has got to be some crazy joke or something like that, you know, or like everyone's gonna come out and say, haha, like this is like all been on felt like this is just, yeah, I mean, I don't know. And so weirdly, like, I don't know why I thought this, but I was like, I thought, you know what, Ellen's gonna walk in, like, for some reason, right? The door is open, and like nobody comes through, and everybody in the church goes, ah, oh, like the same thing they did at the hospital, right?
Well,
really weird.
And again, this is sort of predictive programming as well, because when a person's going through these trials and tribulations,
how do they get so many people involved with this? Like,
well,
what do these people think that they're like signing to? Like, what's the, I mean, because they're reading my mind and getting them to do that. You know what I'm saying? So what are they?
They're able to read our minds, remote neural.
For sure.
Like technology through the NSA.
100%. 100%. Like, and I'm a very sane intellectual.
My documentaries on this stuff. I've got a bunch coming out, but so even if there were no mind reading aspect to it, there is the predictive programming, because a person has to have answers, and along the way, a person's going to hit, you know, okay, maybe it's a religious thing. Maybe I need to go to church. Maybe I need to ask God. And
right.
That's the point where they need to break it down to the point where you're searching for God. And then when you start searching for God, they'll implant one there for you. They're going to shun you from Christianity, and then they'll put a prophet there if you're really deep into it. But if you're not, they'll shy you away from it, and then they'll put something else in your life that could be something more authoritative, if not necessarily religious.
Right. Well, when I came to the U.S. and the actual legitimate, like, I mean, here uncontrollable, like unbearable torture happened. Before that happened, they could definitely, I know they could read my mind, like, for sure. And then I was gonna say something else to that too.
Well, let me ask also, the pain. You are mentioning torture. This is also directed energy. Do you feel like?
Okay, yeah. So let me get into that. So let me finish with this, and then let me get into that. Okay. So when I got on the plane to come back to the U.S., I started boarding. I started going through the thing, and everybody started clapping, like it was a show. Like, and I still don't know what happened. Anyway, so I get to the U.S., and what happens is I start feeling this, like it's almost like somebody's grabbing your brain and kind of like just twisting it, you know, like, and I would go outside and I would think a thought, and if it was yes, a ball would bounce once. If it was twice, a ball would bounce or if it was no, a ball would bounce twice. I know that sounds absolutely crazy, but it's so true. And I went through this extreme torture where it was like, I was like, like I couldn't take it. It was like my brain was being twisted and turned and freaking just like, I can't even begin to describe what torture of the mind actually feels like. And they kept me awake for, I think it was almost 6 days. They sleep deprived me, where I couldn't sleep. And then I got no sleep 7 nights, and I would hear that ball drop outside outside my my place, you know, and I mean, it was extreme torture, like extreme torture to the point where I was screaming out to Jesus. Like, I was like, please God help me, please God help me. Like, I was just like shaking, please God help me, please God help me, please God help me, please God help me. Like, I can't take this pain anymore. And I can't, I started writing suicide notes, you know. I didn't want to end my life. I really, like, I didn't want to end my life. They made me kind of think that, you know, this whole thing that happened in Toronto was going to be this like big show and big story, you know, and then I come to the US where I am tortured to the point of, I mean, I can't imagine. I would rather be beaten with a stick all day, every day, than, you know, like be in a torture prison where they just beat me and starve me, than to go through the mental torture that I've been through. Like, I would rather be beaten every day, literally. So they sleep deprived me, and then they flashed something, and they were like, the sleep deprivation could have killed you, you know? So I know at this point, like, I mean, I'm a very sane person. I've dealt with depression, I've dealt with anxiety, you know, like so on and so forth, but I'm a very sane person, and a very logical person. And, you know, I was very confused about what happened in Toronto, thinking that if I left, like, it would come out and be a big story. And then I get to the US, and like I said, I'm being tortured, I'm being sleep deprived, I'm being,
People, please understand, yes, United States, you're tortured worse in the United States with darker energy weapons than anywhere else. They're the most sickest, brutalist people. You come straight to the empire of evil that wants to police the world. They have no qualms just being.
There can't be any more evil.
Yeah. And so I want to ask you, with all the other celebrity breakdowns, do you understand what they went through? You know, we have Amanda Bynes, we had Lindsay Lohan, Brittney Spears, and the Monarch program needs to be obvious at that point. But what you're going through is directly mirroring what you're going through, right?
Right. Now definitely. But I don't believe that. I do believe that Amanda Bynes like went completely crazy, and I think that has something to do with a certain organization kind of stuff. I believe that there's the you know, that secret society that we all know, right? And then there's the CIA, but they're kind of intertwined, right? So it's like, you know, like I think people like her kind of have had that happen to her. But I don't believe that they've experienced the torture. You know what I'm saying? I think that they're going through a different kind of programming, I think, or something like that. Like where, you know, they program them to like just kind of go crazy, you know? Whereas I wasn't going crazy. I was being completely tortured. I wasn't being turned into a different person or whatever. There was at some point, you know, like the word training happening. There was the word chosen one happening. There was the word, and there was 2 code words that I won't say, but, you know, that people around me would say. You know.
Okay, well, we take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Hello, I'm B from the Red Pill Hardcore TV show, and I'm here to deliver a message to you. I am standing up, and I think you guys should stand up too. What are we standing up for? Clean air. The New World governments have been spraying aluminum, strontium, barium, all kinds of nanoparticulates, salts, heavy metals, and we are losing our environment. We have trees with aluminum toxicity. Our wildlife is disappearing, one species at a time. We have weather warfare weaponry. If there is anything such as global warming, well, we have ionospheric heaters that's dramatically bombarding our atmosphere. All this damage can be done to the environment by these nanoparticulates being sprayed into the atmosphere. We know that it's causing respiratory issues. We know that it's causing autism. We know that it's causing Morgellons, the transhumanistic disease. What else is it doing? I think it may just be altering our minds. Watch my movie, and then you decide.
Ever been followed home at night by a bright star? UAV drone. Have you ever felt like you are being watched? Energy spectrum surveillance. Have you ever heard a buzz in your brain and ringing in your ear? Satellite EEG brain entrainment. Have you ever felt like someone is reading your thoughts? Remote neural monitoring. Have you ever heard voices in your head that were not your own? Voice to skull. Have you ever heard these voices repeat themselves unending? Synthetic audio harassment. Known someone driven mad by the voices till they killed people? CIA. NSA on shelf shooters. We are just people. We are brothers and sisters, fathers and mothers. We are young and old alike. We come from every walk of life and every corner of the world. We are just people. Yet, through all of our diversity, we have found common ground. We stand united as one and divided by zero. The Red Pill Hardcore exposes the truth with the answers.
We are back from commercial break. I still have Ashleigh Ann Wood here with us. Whistleblowing on the Hollywood illumitard establishment. So, you're still in the Bible Belt. Let's continue with that.
Well, I wasn't in the Bible Belt at this point. This is when I came home, and I was like being tortured. I was being zapped awake. I was being literally, like, I would try and like fall asleep, and like it would just be like they would zap me awake and say something, like, you know, or just like or like make me like start falling and flip, and like or they would drag me down off the bed, you know, like it would anyway, so this happened for quite a long time, and everywhere I went, people would say things that only I knew, like in my mind, People would still say the code words different places. It wasn't like as bad at that time. And then I went to this place called Home of Grace. It's like this kind of like Bible college type of place. I just needed to get some help with some stuff, and they do like ministers come in like you do like Bible classes, and you do like all sorts of different classes, and like boundaries and anger and management, like just like all different kinds of stuff. Anyway, so there, every minister that came in directed everything towards me. It was all about me, and they knew different words to say. And things that they shouldn't know. Like, it was like they were, like I said, like a lot of time, like for in Toronto, like people had like earpieces in their ears, and like they were being told what to say and stuff. And it was like these people were called right beforehand and like told exactly what to say and whatnot. And it seemed like they were really helping me, and it seemed like it was like this big show, and it was like, it was going to be like, it was almost like I was in a movie, which as being an actress was kind of cool in a way, because even though they, they had hurt me so badly with torture and electric shock, like all of this kind of stuff, it was like then they were being really nice to me and making me the star of the show and like the Bible Belt. And there were certain words like major and minor that like only I would know what that's about. And one of the ministers, at this big church was like major and minor league baseball, and said something about the movie about with Jim Carrey and God, like relating to like a movie. And then like different ministers would it was like everything that I would talk about that I wanted to learn about the Bible was then preached every single time. And also it was all like directed like towards me. And even like other ministers came in too, and like there was a certain other word that they would only know, and they directed it just towards me, and they definitely knew, like, but these people behind the scenes, like, I don't know what they want me to do, right? Like, I don't know what game, like, what part they want me to play and what is going on. And so I'm so confused. Like, I don't know really what's going on, but they're seeming to be good now, right? So I'm like, okay, like, I guess maybe they've become good and they're going to help me, and, everything's going to be great and all that kind of stuff. And
that's usually the whole point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and before you go on, let me ask a really quick question. And TIs, target individuals, notice a big difference in what they're going through as far, being a normal person in society to being targeted.
Oh yeah, it's a huge difference. Huge difference. It's a whole different lifestyle. Like, you can't even explain it.
But you being a celebrity, you even notice a difference from your normal celebrityhood life to this program. And so,
right.
I mean, it's obvious that this trauma you went through notes the beginning of all this, but even then, the everyday life now is still different than before the trauma, correct?
Oh God, yeah. Oh God, yeah. I don't even have any electronics anymore. I mean, they've hacked into all my computers. They've hacked into my phone. They've literally recorded voice clips of me. They've, I think, recorded video footage through my phone. I've seen stuff uploaded that I shouldn't see. Like, I don't know how it's even sent to me, that like some of my stuff was being sent through different threads, and I no longer had any control over any of my like, you know, stuff. It was being sold for media content and different stuff like that. And then I had some random person send me a contract saying that they'll give me like the recoding for all of it to then copyright all my stuff. You know, like what, I mean, I don't know. And it happened at a friend's house. And this friend, what happened is that I told him what happened to me. And then all of a sudden my computer gets hacked, my phone gets hacked, his phone gets hacked, his mom's phone gets hacked. He's going kind of crazy because he thinks that maybe like I'm in on something because I told him the story about it. And, you know, so then he's thinking like, I don't know, like, you know, like he got all paranoid. So it was really crazy. And so yeah, so like whenever, and then like I even just used my dad's computer like a week and a half ago to do something, and it crashes and does all this crazy stuff, and my dad starts like what'd you do to my computer? I'm like, Dad, I swear, like I'm trying to prove to you that there's so much here that I can prove. I can prove a lot of things if there was an investigation of all of this. I can't prove the extreme torture and electronic shocks and the brutality of like the fact that they've almost tortured me to death, literally to the point where it was like my soul almost left my body, like that you know. And so, but there are a lot of things I can prove, like, you know, like even asking the people, why were they all clapping when I got on the plane? You know, who is this guy, you know, that I met? Who's really in on it? What's going on? All that kind of stuff. But the problem is like, you know, it's like, is this two different people? Like, is this am I being targeted because I was hanging out with like you know, like I was in Hollywood being an actress, and then I started, you know, I was hanging out with the wrong people. You know, it was supposed to be set up for like maybe an intervention type of thing, and it all went wrong, you know, or whatever. And, but I don't think so, because like there was still people behind the scenes, even when they knew that it went wrong, like, you know, making it all confusing for everybody. So, I know I'm getting off track too, but it's just, you know, I'm being monitored, I'm recorded, I'm being followed.
1 second.
I've noticed for the past 2 years.
Okay.
Huh?
As soon as you said you're being monitored, the internet connection kind of froze.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They want me to know. Like they give me signs. They give me signs that they know. Like they'll give me signs like, yep. Things will pop up on my phone if I'm like thinking something and I'm like, is this you guys? You know, like is this, you know? And like they'll give me signs and codes in different places, letting me know that, you know. I just want to know what they want from me. Like they said that they need me and that I'm the chosen one. But yet they treat me like really nice, and they treat me really, really horrible. Like, I mean, to the point of almost killing me. Like, I want to know what they want from me. Like, I want to know what this is about and why me, and like why won't they give me a clear picture of what to do? And you know, like and
it's their whim at any time, any place, anywhere, and they don't want you to think about it, because the more and more you think about it, the more they're going to throw you off. The more they're going to throw you in this direction, that direction, the more and more you try to figure it out. They don't want you figuring it out. So that higher knowledge is for them and them only. If you were to figure it out,
right.
You wouldn't be a slave. A knowledgeable person makes a terrible slave. So
right.
they don't want you to think at all. They just want you to obey They want you to follow the cues and to do what they want you to do.
But
And presumably,
their cues
make less money off of it. Go ahead.
Cues aren't their cues aren't clear. Like, it's, you know, like sometimes it's like a puzzle I have to figure out, and then I think I figured it out, and then, you know, it's just, I don't know. Like, I just want to stop being hurt. Like, I'm a good person. Like, I'm a really good person. And like, I help people in this world. You know, I do a lot of activism. I love feeding the homeless. I help people on a daily basis. I smile at people. I hold doors open for people. I'm a good person, you know? And I just don't understand why people would want to hurt me so badly.
Because they don't want good people. All these Hollywood elites that you hear these stories about, you know, the pedophilia, the child, the drug rings, the whoever, whatever.
Right.
You know, for these Hollywood actors that have charities and stuff like that, give large sums of money away for a good cause. You stop getting major roles in films. Their money is scammed from them in one way or another, and so forth. So they go through this. It's basically, are you one of us or are you one of them? That's what they want to know. That's what they want you to figure out. As long as you want to hold on, to being a good person, you know, you're one of us. You're not one of them.
I'll always be a good person. I'm not gonna turn to darkness. Like, I'm not gonna say that there's some things, like, you know, unfortunately in my life, like, that have been dark times, you know, but I'm a very kind, loving, beautiful person that would never hurt anybody, and don't understand why somebody that's so loving that would never hurt anybody, like, if you offered me $1 billion to like physically harm somebody, I wouldn't take $1 billion to physically anybody, you know. I wouldn't take $1 billion to psychologically harm somebody the way somebody's done that to me. You know, it's just, I'm a very kind, loving person. And, you know, at first it seemed like it was like, okay, these people abused me, and then some people were trying to protect me, and then some people were abusing me, and some people were trying to protect me. I do feel like I have somewhat of some protection out there. Weirdly, I don't know how to explain it. But I also feel like there's two sides. There's a good side and there's a bad side. And I think that the good side kind of maybe knows a little bit of the truth and is protecting me a little bit as much as they can or whatever. And I think that there's a bad side that is really, really slick at completely, I mean, this happened in September 2014, okay? And I haven't been able to move on with my life. I haven't been able to, I felt like I haven't slept in 4 years. I feel like I'm living in a prison that nobody can see. There's cages all around me and nobody can see it. And my parents, I mean, and everybody just think that, like, I'm crazy when it's like, oh my God, like, honestly, if I could have gotten a lawyer, I could have proved a lot of it, you know? But the psychological warfare and, like, the torture and the sleep deprivation and the intense interrogations and the weeks of no sleep and the electric shocks and the almost, like, you know, almost putting me to death, like, to the unspeakable, like, acts where I had a knife to my wrist. And I just couldn't do it, but I couldn't take the pain, you know, and no one understood. It was like, I was like, and at that point, even, it was like, I had gone to so many psychwards thinking, like, maybe they'll stop if I go to the psych ward, you know, or something like that. Like, and they would do it in there. And it's just like how I mean, yeah, I'm honestly, if somebody, somebody like if I had never heard of all of this and I had never gone through all of this, and somebody said, you know, people you know, were able to read my mind, and people have been literally torturing me to the point that you just want to kill yourself so badly, and you know, they're shocking you awake, and they're making you almost have a heart attack. My blood pressure has been up to almost heart attack level because of what they've done. They've almost killed me so many times with this torture. And if somebody came to me and said that before, you know, I had ever gone through this or whatever, like I would be like, okay, you know, like I understand it sounding somewhat off if you haven't been through it or if you haven't experienced it. You know, now I'm experiencing like the stalking and the electronic harassment and the you know, almost the people giving me signals all over the place. And you know, I just don't know what it's about. I mean, it's like I don't understand. I don't get it anymore. Like, I know you say it's like the Monarch League program, but I'm still trying to understand, you know, why me? Why this big show? Why is a lot of it so kind of out in the open that a lot of it can be proven? But I mean, I wish I could prove, like, God, I just wish the people in my life knew what I've been through, because like I just feel so lonely in this world. I feel so lonely in this world going through what I've gone through. It's like you've experienced something that no human being should ever experience. They've made me see things and go through things. They've actually, the night before I went to a ministry conference, they kept me up all night and they would drown me in water. Like, it felt like I was drowning in water, and I couldn't breathe. And they were torturing me, and I was like screaming, and I was screaming, and I was screaming, and I was screaming, and they're like, you know, and then I would try and just like, you know, like rock to sleep, and then it was like I would be drowning in water, and I'd be like, and I'd wake up, and like they didn't let me sleep all night long, you know, because they didn't want me to go to that ministry conference.
And accompanied with the feeling of electrical surges down your spine by chance?
Keep hearing about that, but no, I haven't felt it down the spine. So I know that is a very like specific sign of something, but and that most people get, but I definitely haven't experienced that feeling down the spine. I've experienced, you know, just like the twisting of the mind to the point where it's the most extreme pain you've ever felt in your entire life. And
well,
you know,
I'll tell you, you're definitely not alone in your experiences. And
right.
I've got to know, before we end the show, I'm told that you're a fan of mine.
I am, for
And
sure.
I'm glad to have you as a fan, and I want to help you out with your activism.
Awesome.
And
Cool.
get the message out. And so there are going to be many opportunities for us to work together and to get this problem solved. All right. All right. Ashleigh, I am so thankful to have you on the show.
I'm honored to be on your show. I think you're awesome.
Thank
Getting
you.
like the truth out there about stuff, you know?
It's
important.
The most valuable thing that could happen to media right now, in my personal opinion.
Right.
So I'm so thankful you give me this exclusive for my show.
Awesome. Me too. Well, if it was anybody, it would be you, because I was like, you know, I'd been following it for a while, and I'm like, man, you know, but it's been such a hard road that it's like, you know, I've been so scared to get this story out there, because you know, it is in segments, in different pieces. It is very complicated, and it is, there's no way to describe how awful it is, and just the nightmare I've been living for 4 years has been horrible. And the fear of coming out and telling the story of being told that I'm crazy, or whatever. But it's like I can prove some of it. So how am I crazy? Like, you know, the doctor has to say that he was told that was pressure points. There has to be that other guy that said that he was sent to say something this. There has to be my neighbors that say they use that. There has to be the people that were outside my apartment screaming and yelling saying they did that. There has to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be, there is some evidence. I also have on my on a secret camera roll, the pictures they blacked out right after this domestic abuse that kind of like intertwines with like different stuff that happened too. So there was like this piece of paper of the domestic abuse in this like sealed, like kind of like, you know, safe envelope. And then the next pictures are blanked out. You know, I have like stuff that this girl wrote saying that I was missing when I wasn't missing. It was like the whole town of Toronto was there. Like, it was just crazy. So there's just so much to it. And you know, like, just the fact that this corruption is happening, you know, just because there's so much corruption that's happening in this country.
And
like,
I want you to come back onto the show. The more and more you remember, you know, the better, because we can hash this out and
yeah, definitely.
And we can prevent
I would love to.
happening to other people, especially other celebrities. If the celebrities can understand this sort of stuff,
right,
they can possibly avoid some of this.
Right.
You know.
Right. And like the warning signs and different stuff like that.
I would like to monitor your situation and try to help free you from as much as is humanly possible. And
I would love that.
And try to make a textbook case for this, and
yeah,
just to be avoided from here on out. So, okay. Any last things you want to tell the audience?
No, I just want to say, like, you know, there's crazy stuff going on in this world, and I think that people need to be aware of it. I know that that some of it sounds kind of like out of this world, but the fact is that there is so much happening in this world that we are not aware of. And if you're not opening your eyes, if you're not enlightening yourself to what is actually going on, I mean, look at the politics, the open corruption in politics. I mean, people, so many people should be in jail. You know, look at the people that get away with, you know, stuff because of who they are. The elites, you know, controlling everything. Like, there's so much corruption, and people just kind of go on and just like, I'm just a robot, I'm just a lemming, you know, just walking this earth, and, you know, I'm going to close my eyes to the fact that, you know, there's like in Orlando right here, there's, you know, human trafficking happening right down the street, and there's very powerful people involved with that, you know, and that's why it's not being stopped, right? But nobody wants to say that. Nobody wants to get into that. So, you know, it's just like so much corruption. There's so much that we can do in this world as human beings, and there's so much that we can give to one another, and there's understanding and love, you know, because with something I've been through, I understand it's hard to understand that somebody can go through something like that. It sounds crazy. It sounds out of this world, but you have to give people compassion and love, you know, no matter what they've been through, because everybody has a story. And, you know, and what I've been through is one of the most horrific things that I think have ever happened. You know, at one point I was like, I feel like I'm probably one of the biggest victims in North American history at this point, with what's happened to me. And I just, you know, I think, I know, fighting for justice and just getting the truth out there and getting the knowledge out there and preventing it from happening to other people and all that stuff is great. And I love you. You are awesome. I really dig what you're doing. You're doing amazing things. I want to get the truth out there with you, you know, with whatever, and I'll work on any project with you. And, you know, I just, I think everybody needs to wake up to the truth, to a lot of things. And
I think we can do it. I think we can get them woke.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Red Pill Hardcore TV show.